All right, today's video, I'm going to go over how to get started in wedding photography from start to finish, what you need to be purchasing right out of the gate, ways that you build your portfolio, the ways that you practice customer interactions, all the way out to advertising and getting your first paid wedding. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I do have myself a little list put together so that I hopefully remember everything I wanted to go over. But first, we start with the very obvious. You need a camera. You want to be a photographer? Gotta have yourself a camera. You need to learn these cameras. You need to learn them so well that making any of the adjustments on it is second nature to you. Now, the way that you do that is be shooting all the time. It doesn't always have to be portraits. Get out on the street, take photos, find interesting things, start working on composition, start watching videos that teach you better composition and how to use the light to create interesting photos. Now, in doing that, you're also going to be editing the photos. So it's going to give you a lot of practice with the editing software and the different things that you can do within the editing software so that you are comfortable using that. Then what you're going to want to do is start finding friends and family and asking them to pose, to take photos with you. This is going to give you practice with posing, with using lighting, and how to talk to people that you're photographing. Now, with doing those free shoots for like family and friends, it's going to help you start building a portfolio, start having some type of body of work together that shows that you are competent in using your equipment. Now, once you have some of that portfolio stuff put together from doing photo shoots with friends and families, start emailing, messaging area wedding photographers that are in your area and start offering to second shoot. You know, maybe start out doing a couple free second shoots for them, or just to be able to tag along and see how the flow of a wedding goes, how a wedding photographer keeps themselves organized, and kind of the things that they do day to day. That's going to get you familiar with the way that you put together a shot list, the way that you'll see a wedding photographer talk to their clients, the way that they interact with all of the guests throughout the day. Then after a little while of observing another photographer shooting a wedding, maybe you'll get the chance to then be able to second shoot a wedding. Maybe it's for free, maybe it's paid, but that'll give you a chance to start getting used to using a camera in those high-stressed, fast-paced situations of a wedding. And that's why it is that I say that you need to be able to know your camera so well that making the adjustments is complete second nature to you. During a wedding, you really only get one chance to get some of those shots. So you can't be fumbling around with your settings or worried about, do I have my f-stop correct? Did I have my shutter speed correct to be able to capture that moment, that movement of the couple without having blurs? Now, after you've had some time to build up a portfolio, maybe you've second shot and maybe you were allowed to use some of that stuff for your own portfolio use, you need to have a website. You have to have somewhere online that they can go to. And I'm not talking about just a Facebook page. A Facebook business page is a great thing to have as well, but you need to have an actual website, a branded website with an actual address to it, not just one of the pixie set ones. Anytime I see those, I always think that they're just not very professional. You know, spend a little extra money, have a custom URL. You also need to have a CRM, and that is a customer relationship management software. That is what you use for delivering the galleries, for sending out contracts, for sending out welcome packets, different various things like that. There's lots of them that are out there. The one that I always suggest people checking out is CloudSpot. It's one that I've been using for quite a while. It works great for me. It hosts my galleries. They can do all of the prints through there. It sends all my contracts, keeps everything in order, all my invoicing. They make their payments through there. All of that is all one and done. And then it also syncs with my Google Calendar so that I'm able to, just from my cell phone, see what events I have up and coming. Now let's get into the essential equipment that you need to be shooting a wedding. And not only do you obviously need a camera and a lens, but there's certain lenses that wedding photographers will suggest. These are the ones that I suggest to any wedding photographer who is first starting out. I would suggest any prime lenses. An 85, a 50 millimeter prime lens is a really good way to get yourself started. Prime lenses are a faster lens, so the aperture is opening wider and it's allowing in more light in a lot of those low light situations. I also always suggest something wider, like a 14 mil. This is a 14 mil 2.8 for the Fuji lenses. Now, this isn't something that's an absolute necessity, but this is a great lens for the reception shots. When I'm doing like overhead shots with the on-camera flash, or at the end of the ceremony when the couple's walking down the aisle, I like to get those big overhead shots that shows all of the people that are in attendance as they are walking down the aisle. Not a lens that you absolutely have, but one that I do highly, highly suggest, as it does help make some very creative shots. Another lens is like a 24-70, or like what I have on my X-T2 right now that I am filming with, is an 18-55. A nice little low-range zoom lens can work really well, especially at outdoor weddings. They're not the fastest lenses, so they don't work great in low light conditions. But that's why I always suggest having some prime lenses. Myself though, if the lighting condition is correct, I will use an 18-55, just so that I don't have to be changing out lenses over to my 14 mil. If I'm using a 50 or an 85 during a ceremony, then I have to switch out to a 14 mil near the end so that I can get those overhead shots that I like to get. Another lens that I always strongly suggest, but again is not an absolute necessary lens, is something like a 55-200. When shooting ceremonies in certain places, and it's usually more common in certain churches, you're not able to get all that close to the couple. So having a lens that allows you to punch in is extremely necessary to be able to get those certain types of shots that you want to get, those more intimate, up-close shots, without you having to be right near the couple. Another absolute must is an on-camera flash. My normal on-camera flash is a Godox V1 Pro. This is the one that's got the little key light on the front of it, round head, a bunch of different adapters to it. It's a fantastic on-camera flash, but an on-camera flash is something that you have to have as a wedding photographer. You'll notice that when you're shooting receptions tend to be a lot darker, so this is something that you're going to need to be able to light up the faces. I use a lot of on-camera and off-camera flash during receptions, and even when I'm doing portraits. When the sun is nice and bright, I will have their backs to the sun to backlight them and use my flash to be able to fill in all of the shadows on the face. Not something necessary that you have to have right out of the gate is off-camera flash, but you need to have at least some type of on-camera flash to be able to light up everything that you need to light up during the receptions. Now you've got to have yourself plenty of storage. You've got to have lots of SD cards, and you need to have something like an external hard drive. During a wedding throughout the day, as I finish different various parts of it, I will pull the cards from my camera and I will back them up onto my SD card and put the used cards into the case. That way I've got the 2 cards that come out of the camera, and then I also have the backups onto the external hard drive before I've even left the ceremony. That gives me 3 backups of the shots that came from one little area, you know, be the ceremony or the reception, whatever it is that I change out my cards, just giving me more assurance that I'm not going to end up losing any photos. I also use a big external hard drive here in my office, like this Seagate here. So when I come home, I will take all of the stuff that I have on my external hard drive and I will back it up onto my external hard drive here in the office. It's also backed up onto the cloud. Then nothing gets removed from any of the SD cards or my external hard drive until I have edited those photos and actually delivered them. So I've got multiple different backups that are staying in place until I have actually delivered the final photos to the client. Now for some equipment that isn't so much essential to get into wedding photography, but something that I always have with me. I always have 2 Godox A200 Pros with me. I'll use these during the group and a couple portraits just to light shadows, kind of fill in stuff. And then I also am running these during the speeches, during reception, during the dances, to be able to give different lighting options. Usually I have them sitting kind of kitty corner, or I'll have them sitting near the DJ booth to be able to just give different light, as well as using my on-camera flash to maybe work as a fill. A lot of different options that you can get into once you start getting into off-camera flash. Then with that, you're also going to want a trigger. Now with the Godox systems, you could trigger from your on-camera flash like the V1 Pro. If I'm not running the on-camera flash, I've always got a trigger on there. This one is the Godox X3 Pro. Touchscreen one. I really like it just because it's easy to see, especially in those darker conditions in a wedding reception. Another one that's not so necessary, but one that I really like, are the little mini off-camera flashes. This one's the Godox IT30. I was running the I think it's the IM30 for quite a while, which is their manual flash. These create those really nice wide-angle kind of candid moments on the dance floor when you're shooting from overhead. But yeah, so far I really liked the little IT30. I haven't used it a whole lot during weddings yet, but so far I really like it. Again, something I would suggest checking out, that I would suggest picking up when you've got a chance, but not something that's absolutely necessary. Now, the advertising part. How to start actually picking up wedding clients. First thing you'd want to do is start reaching out to any friends and family, asking them if they know anybody who's getting married anytime soon. You could offer a discount to shoot the wedding so that you can start building your portfolio for those full weddings that are actually yours, that you've shot. Another one is joining area Facebook page groups. There's a lot of them out there. I know here in the Midwest, we've got tons of different vendor pages and pages that are for people looking for wedding photographers, stuff like that. Usually don't have a whole lot that come out of that, but it's always worth a shot. The one that I rely on heavily is Facebook advertising, or Meta, because that's advertising on Facebook and Instagram and then through their messenger. Most of the weddings that I have sold, I've actually sold through there. I do have a video that is, I'll link on here, that will walk you through how to set up your Facebook advertising and how to use the keywords and demographics and stuff like that to be able to narrow down the search and have more success with your Facebook advertising. Now that is about all I've really got on how to kind of get yourself started in it. A lot of it really just has to do with practicing with your camera, being extremely familiar with it. Start learning different techniques like off-camera flash, your on-camera flash, and then start networking around the area. Start talking with your area wedding photographers and see if there's anybody who can kind of help you get going before you really strike out on your own. Wedding photography is definitely not something that you want to just dive right into. It's up for debate, but there are a lot of people that say wedding photography is probably one of the hardest forms of photography. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of different techniques that you need to understand how to use. And this isn't like shooting in a studio. You can't just say, oh, hold on, I need to get some different shots. These are moments that are only going to happen once, and you need to make sure that you are on top of your game and you are getting those images correctly. It doesn't take much to completely ruin a wedding photography business. A couple bad reviews and you're going to be shut down. I hope that helps answer any questions that people have had about starting wedding photography or getting into it. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them below. Hit subscribe. I'll be posting lots more videos like this in the future to help out anybody who's new trying to get into this industry.